This is my brand new custom-built satellite called SatGus, and in about a month, she'll be zooming by way up in space at 5 miles per second. But what makes SatGus so special is that she's got a phone right here and a camera right here, and her sole purpose is to take your selfie in space with the Earth photobombing you. And it gets even cooler, because if you tell me the city you live in when you upload your picture to the satellite, we'll not only take the selfie over your city, but we'll tell you precisely when that will happen. So if you go out to your yard and wave, you'll technically be in the photo twice. It's incredible we live in a day and age where just an everyday civilian like you and me can just decide to build something and then send it to space. So today I'm going to give you a 6-step crash course that will tell you all you need to know to build and launch your own creation to space one day. And these 6 steps are very near and dear to my heart, because these are the exact same 6 steps I first learned when I was a young engineer at NASA working on the Mars rover. So for step 1, right out of the gate, you gotta first design your creation digitally in CAD. And that stands for computer-aided design, and it's really the first step for anything that gets made and manufactured these days. From a Mars rover, to a phone, to a hammer, to a shampoo bottle. CAD is critical for visualizing what it will look like and helping make design decisions about what should go where. In our case, after a few months of the design phase, we landed on something that looked like this. And it might look really impressive, and in many ways it is, but we sort of cheated and saved ourselves a lot of time and money because this is something called a CubeSat. About 25 years ago, a couple Stanford professors realized every satellite that goes to space needs all the same basic elements like solar panels, radios, and computers. So instead of everyone having to start from scratch and reinvent the wheel every time, they standardized the basic necessary hardware and sizes. Of the most common sizes used, the smallest is a 1U satellite, which is just a little bit bigger than a Rubik's Cube. And then there's the 2U, which is just 2 Rubik's Cubes, so double that. Then the 3U, the 6U, and the 12U. And this is the size we're using for SatGus. The way it works then is all the hardware necessary for the basic functionality of the satellite, like the flight computer, takes up this space. But then that leaves all this extra room for the payload. In other words, the purpose of your satellite. Like, what do you want it to do? In our case, that would be a camera and a screen for taking the pictures. So for your first creation you'll be sending to space, I highly recommend you make it a CubeSat, because that will reduce your development costs 100 times, from tens of millions of dollars to hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I want to talk about what's actually on SatGus, because you'll need a lot of the same hardware yourself. But first, let's talk about what makes it unique, which is our payload, or how we're going to take the pictures. Once we get to space and everything's looking good, these 2 spring-loaded panels rotate open. On one, we've got a Google Pixel phone in a radiation-resistant case, and then on the other, we've got a camera that's specifically been designed to withstand the harsh space environment. So once we beam your picture up to the satellite, we'll display it on the phone screen, and then the camera will take an HDR picture and then beam the image back to Earth. And you'll notice there's actually an identical setup of a phone and camera on the other side of SatGus as well. That's basically a full